Welcome to the worst writer in the world with me, Rufus,
Hooray.
and he's got his tights on. He's ready to save a helicopter from falling off a building. It's
Howard Long.
So this week we begin our retelling of Superman 3, that wonderful, perhaps the best film from the 1980s and perhaps ever. Certainly the best Superman film.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, without a doubt.
Yes.
And one of the reasons we chose this is, apart from it being one of the best films ever made, is that it's always been part of our mythology because of a conversation we had way back in a really early episode of the Man by a Cow podcast, when I believe we were talking about superpowers, right? And it was a question: if you could have one this is how it works. Because if you could have one superpower, what superpower would you choose? And obviously, we all know now, with years of experience, that the correct answer is jumping. Right?
True, very true.
But back then, we were exploring different possibilities. And I believe, if I remember correctly, we said flying. Like, what would you do with flying? And you said you'd put out fires.
So, what would I use flying for? I'd heard save cats from trees. I would put out fires. Hold on.
You could...
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But Superman put out a fire by freezing a lake, carrying it, and then dropping it on top of the fire.
You see how that involves several other superpowers? The ability to freeze a lake.
Pick up a lake. Carry a lake.
And then melt a lake.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those things are powers we don't have.
Yeah.
All we can do is fly to a lake.
Look at it.
Come back again.
Sorry you all burned to death, but at least I saw a nice lake.
Right, so now we know the inspiration for making this episode. Let's get on with it, shall we?
Yes, please, Lois.
When I was watching this, I tried to get a main thesis for the movie. Like, with Gremlins, it was like the Gremlins are the good guys,
Yes.
and then you've got a nice driving. And I really couldn't, except for the idea that absolutely nothing in this movie makes sense.
Yeah.
On any level at all. It's like, basically, the person who wrote this movie doesn't understand how anything whatsoever works at all. Not computers, not weather, and especially not Superman. Right? Like, it's just not people, nothing makes any sense at all. It's shocking.
It's like you that thing where they bring on someone to work on a well-beloved thing and they get it wrong. Stop getting Bond wrong. It's like they don't understand Superman, but they also don't understand humans or
Nothing, not
anything.
a single thing. Not how raffles work. I mean, it's not a single thing that they get right about life.
No.
So, as we know, this was written by someone who knows how nothing works, and especially not Superman. So, what I'm thinking is, it's written by a couple, by a man and a woman writer. Right? So, I suspect that, as we know, these two people have never heard of Superman, got no idea what Superman is or how it works, right? So they probably watched the first two movies, because that's what you do, right? If you're a screenwriter, you don't read the comics. You're like, oh, watch the first two movies. This is the third one. I'll watch the first two. So they're like, right, okay, Superman's powers. Number 1, flying. All right, number 2, heat vision. Right, okay, number 3, ice breath. Number 4, bulletproof. Number 5, see through rocks. Number 6, kiss people's memories away. No, number 7, make time go backwards by flying really fast around the world. Number 8, take the S off his chest and throw it at villains to defeat them.
Yeah.
And I think after you've done that, you're like, oh, I'll tell you what, right? Superman's really boring and stupid.
And can do anything.
I think I'll write a film about Richard Pryor getting into scrapes instead.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put Superman in this movie at all if I can avoid it.
Yeah, fuck him. Does it open with Gus Gorman, or does it open with the huge comedy sequence?
It opens with Gus
at a job centre.
Yeah. Well, this is I've put this into parts because my notes are so long. I thought I'd better split them up. So part 1 is called "Learn Computers, Get Money," and yes, we open on Richard Pryor standing in a queue playing with a yo-yo.
Yay!
Right, which we know means he's a bad guy, right? He's yo-yo villain.
He is, yeah.
No, but if he's not a bad guy, who's like a poorly realised bad guy who needs a gimmick, why would an adult man be standing in a queue playing with a yo-yo?
Yeah. No, but it is a movie. Remember, in movies, what you usually do at the beginning is when you've got a hero, you show them, like, I don't know, doing kung fu or something, so you know that they can do kung fu. And then later on they do kung fu, and you're like, that's why you showed them doing kung fu earlier. So Gus Gorman using a yo-yo is a real good setup to when he uses it to skydive or something later on.
Gus Gorman using a yo-yo is a really good setup to show that he will be able to design a supercomputer like nothing that's ever existed before. That's how we know that's coming later. And so later on, when he does that on the back of a napkin, we're all like, oh yeah, well he could use that yo-yo. So it makes sense that he can design a supercomputer.
What's that thing where you usually in modern movies they do it from building to building, but Gus Gorman uses his yo-yo to what's it called?
Zipline.
Yeah,
Zipline.
Gus Gorman ziplines with his yo-yo at the end of the movie to escape being exploded. I swear on my life. Does that not happen?
I don't think
Maybe I'm imagining that now then.
He yo-yos himself out of the Grand
I swear,
Canyon.
like, watch it again. He definitely zip lines to safety.
Okay, I'll watch it all again just to see if he yo-yo zip lines to safety.
And in the comments, if you know if whether Gus Gorman zip lines to safety with a yo-yo or not, please add it in the comments now.
All right, so Richard Pryor survives standing in a queue before mobile phones were invented and eventually reaches the front, where he reveals that, twist, his name isn't Richard Pryor. After all, it's Gus Gorman. And he's unemployed.
Yes.
So he is a villain. In fact, he's not just unemployed, he's also claiming welfare, the worst crime you can commit in the conservative USA, not having a job and still needing money to be alive. So Gus Gorman is not allowed any more welfare because he's reached the limit of his welfare, and so now he has to die.
Yes.
So Gus decides to move this on as quickly as possible by having a cigarette in the welfare office. It's so exciting to watch that now. But he just stands there in the middle of the welfare office and lights a cigarette. Right? And asks a bloke in the queue for a light because literally everyone in 1983 smoked cigarettes in every single building everywhere and on every vehicle.
Okay, this is where I agree with Gran. It was much better in the past. You could smoke anywhere.
And yeah, even the people who work there are all smoking. It's not just the...
Well, of course, the tagline for the first movie was "You'll believe a man can fly," but for this one it was "You'll believe a man can smoke," and that's where everyone's doing it.
You'll believe a man can code.
Yes. yeah, that's it.
No, so the conclusion of this, like, he's gone to the welfare office. He's not allowed to live anymore, but he is allowed to smoke because smoking is a human right, but being alive isn't. And those two things do fit together quite well. Yeah. All right, so he gets a book of matches from a guy in the queue, and on the back of that book of matches, Gus Gorman sees the plot, and it says, "Earn big money, become a computer programmer."
Wow.
And that's where the pre-credit sequence ends.
So it's not a job, it's a course.
It's not a job, it's a coincidence.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't. You're thinking he went to the job centre and they went, "Here you go. You can have a training course and then we'll get you a coding job."
Yeah.
No, he went to the job centre. They threw him out.
Yeah.
Right, and on his way out, he was like, "Have you got any matches?" And on the matches, it said, "Is how the plot's going to work."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because if he goes to a job, if he went to a job centre, they could say, "There's a computer course. Go and do it."
Yeah.
And rather than like finding it accidentally on the back of a packet of cigarettes. Weird.
Like we've said, the writers of this movie don't know how anything works, and so when they think, "Oh, how can we get our character from the first scene we've put him in, and really a simple situation, and nothing's happened yet, we know nothing about this character except he's in a place. It's a place where people go for welfare and maybe to find out about jobs, and he needs a job or a training course. I know, matches." So that's the end of the pre-credit sequence. Now we cut to the big opener.
Hooray!
And this being a Superman film, it's bound to be an exciting action sequence with lots of flying and saving people. No, hang on, it's a load of slapstick for some reason. All right, so I've got a list for you. Firstly, a row of telephone boxes fall over like dominoes for some reason. Right? Superman doesn't turn up to help. He could. That could be something that he helps with, but no, he doesn't. Then a load of animatronic penguins escape from their owner for some reason. Superman doesn't turn up to help.
Yes.
Then some hilarious, light-hearted street harassment occurs. Because this was the 80s and everyone thought catcalling was fucking hilarious. Superman doesn't murder the catcaller with his heat vision.
No.
The next thing that happens in this totally logical opening to a Superman movie is a comedy blind man turns up,
Yes, I love this guy.
walking a random dog. All right?
Yes.
Here's the thing. That is not his dog. This is my theory. That is not his dog.
Definitely
and I have
not.
evidence for this. All right.
Yeah.
Number one, it is clearly not a guide dog.
No.
First of all, right? Which is proven immediately by the fact that as soon as it sees another dog, it runs off and leaves the blind man.
Yes.
Which guide dogs, like that's probably the first thing they train guide dogs not to do, right? I mean, guide dogs are highly trained, very intelligent creatures.
Yeah.
I doubt they forget to introduce them to the existence of other dogs. But also, number two, evidence number two, even just regular dogs don't do that. Right? Just normal untrained dogs don't run off and abandon their owner forever the first time they see another dog. So, right? So that's just some random dog he's taken for a walk. And here's my wider theory. Here's my theory of how it all works. Okay? So I think someone stole his guide dog and replaced it with a regular dog.
Yeah.
Okay. And a particularly badly behaved regular dog.
Sure.
I'm thinking like guide dogs are probably worth a fair amount of money, right? Considering all the training it takes, there's got to be a black market for guide dogs.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right? Yeah, definitely.
And people might be thinking, just because someone's blind, you can't just replace their dog and they won't notice, right? And he's got other senses, right? If you switch out his Labrador with an untrained Alsatian, he'll spot it right away, right?
Yeah.
But what you fail to take into account is that this man is not only blind, he's also a fucking idiot.
He's worse at being a blind man than his dog is at being a guide dog, right?
Being a dog, being any kind of dog,
His other senses are not heightened; they don't
No,
exist.
they're reduced.
Yeah.
He's got no senses.
Yeah.
And we know his dog recognition powers are weak because when he stumbles upon a massive metal machine for painting yellow lines on the road, he thinks, oh, that's my dog.
That's my dog.
That's my dog. And grabs it and starts taking it for a walk. He can't tell the difference between a dog and a fucking line painting machine. He's not going to notice when you swap his Labrador with an Alsatian, is he?
Not. No. But it's such an 80s kind of like blind person,
is,
kind of
right?
like just bumbling around like Mr. Magoo kind of thing.
Yeah, because that's what he does. He's Mr. Magooing his way around Metropolis, right? And like the next thing he does is he knocks a bloke into a hole, and then steps on his head. Right? Yeah. It's such a cartoon. Yeah. And then he apologises to a lamp. And then wanders off to get run over by a bus. All right? And all this happens, and Superman does not turn up to help.
Can I just say one thing about that hole? Because this is something I've wondered about my entire life. Why are there loads of bombs around the hole? Why are there bombs around that hole? Bombs? Yeah, and not like they're like cartoon bombs. There are loads of little round bombs with the things lit just next around a hole, and it's like, why are there bombs there?
Well, I'm gonna have to watch the movie to find out. I should have it on my hard drive somewhere. Let me have a quick look.
Is that not in your note?
The bombs? No, I didn't pay attention to the bombs because that doesn't seem like it's a thing. So I need to check now.
Well, there's so much else going on to distract you from the bombs that are there in the middle of the street.
Yeah, I watched the opening sequence like 3 or 4 times, and I did not notice any bombs. Anyway, so here we go. All right, so I'm at the oh fuck, you're right. There's 2 bombs.
Yes.
There's a bomb right there, right in front of him. Why? Shit, you're right. There are bombs there. Why are there bombs there?
And they're like,
I'm going back. You're right. There's a circle of bombs.
But they're like Acme bombs, like the round ones. You only ever see them in cartoons and Superman 3.
I guess Wile E. Coyote's been passed earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, we've said it is a cartoon.
I think like when I was younger, I was like, maybe there's something that you have in America that aren't really bombs. But I didn't know any Americans that could tell me any different. The internet didn't exist. So it was just like, maybe one day.
They look like some kind of warning, right? Like maybe they're meant to warn you that there's a hole there, but it feels like big barriers are better.
Yeah. Or flashing
tiny balls
actual
on
just
fire.
flashing lights rather than things that look like they're about to explode. Although I suppose I wouldn't go near a hole if I thought it was going to explode.
maybe they're trying to keep children away by using cartoon logic. They're like, well, a kid's never going to go near a bomb, are they?
No.
But obviously, to a kid, a bomb is like a ball with a bit of flame on the top, so we'll make some of them. Meanwhile, one of those walking penguin toys is on fire for some reason. And finally,
Yay!
we get to see Clark Kent do something because he just happens to be on hand to subtly put it out with his ice breath, right? And as we're talking about setting things up for later, remember about the ice breath power, okay? Because just in case a situation arises which calls for him to freeze something, for example, a lake. We need to know that he can freeze things with his breast in case a lake needs freezing for some reason.
But not with his not with his breasts, as Rufus just said, but with his breath. He doesn't freeze anything
with his
breasts.
with his ice breasts, you know. Freeze. What are you doing? I'm just freezing a lake with my ice breasts. You know?
Yeah. Christopher Reeve does a lot of like really convincingly inconspicuous stuff in this, doesn't he? He'll like double check before he blows out a penguin.
Yeah. When I was making notes for this, I was convinced. I had to go back and check, and I turned out to be wrong. But I was completely convinced that when he does the blowing, that he raises his glasses before he does it. I was so sure. Like, think about that in your mind. Isn't that true?
It definitely does.
He sees it, he raises his glasses and then blows on it because he can't use his powers with his glasses on, right?
Yeah.
But I went back, and that's so incredibly not the case. And I'm sure,
I think he does.
I'm sure it is, but it doesn't appear to be when I actually.
I think it does. I think it does because I think when he looks around, he needs to be able to see, but he can't see with his glasses on because he's got perfect vision, and they're fucking it up.
That's one of the myths, isn't it? Or one of the, I don't know if it's like textual, but certainly I've read that online that one of the reasons he wears glasses is so he can't see properly, because then it makes him clumsy. So when he's Clark Kent, he actually is a bit clumsy because he can't see anymore.
Yeah, and he's like 100% clumsy pillock in this movie, isn't he? I mean, he is in the others a bit, but he's really dumb in this.
And not according to Christopher Reeve in an interview I watched with him earlier, where he was saying that he wanted to change it a bit because he thought that after 2 movies of Clark Kent walking into doors and stuff, by this point he'd know where those doors are. So he wanted to change it up a bit.
I think after walking into doors a few times, Superman, the most powerful man on the planet, would stop walking into that door frame. Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Obliterate the door.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, there's a comedy gunfight.
Is there?
Yeah. A robber comes out of the bank and police are shooting at him in a busy street. Right? There's just people everywhere and they're just shooting at this robber. And they don't show it, but I think it's clear that a lot of people got murdered here. Like, this is what's wrong with the armed police in the USA, right? They're just randomly murdering people and they're probably never going to prison for it. And while all this happens, Superman, of course, does not turn up to help because he's busy putting that penguin out.
Yeah, he's putting a penguin out. Because the thing is, like, it's actually natural progression, isn't it? Because in the 4th movie, it's all about nuclear disarmament. In this, he's just concerned with climate change. And, penguins getting hot. Penguins getting hot is a major concern, isn't it? So he's more interested in, like, making a penguin cold than stopping people getting shot.
Yeah. All right, so next up, a stray bullet from the police.
Yes.
It's definitely from the police, because the actual criminal, like, he does have a gun, but he never uses it because he's just running away with a bag of money while the police shoot everyone in sight. Right. So a stray bullet from the police hits the tyre of a car, which skids and hits a fire hydrant in such an unfortunate manner that his car starts filling up with water, and also his door won't open.
Yeah.
So he's going to drown in his hermetically sealed car.
Yeah.
Which has sealed itself again around the fire hydrant. It's an amazing car.
You just gotta wonder, like, what are the his and hers? Let's call them Pip and Jane Baker for ease. When they were writing this movie, the Pip and Jane were going like, what's an accident that could happen in the middle of a city? Drowning. Drowning.
How can we get that to work? Well, what if he drives into a fire hydrant? Brilliant. Write it down. It's amazing.
And the only person...
I don't think they thought twice about any of their ideas. Someone said it and they're like, yes, put it in. It's in the movie.
Yeah, the only person who can possibly open a car door, of course, would be Superman.
If only Superman were here to help. I mean, the movie so far suggests he won't be. Right? Because he hasn't helped anyone else with anything. But finally, in a dramatic break, Superman does turn up to help, but not immediately.
No. What is he doing?
He's got to change into his costume. First,
yes,
right?
yes.
So he's still dressed as Clark Kent. So he sees a photo booth, being used by a kid and a mother.
Yes.
And he goes into the photo booth and he gets changed. Modern Superman gets changed super fast. Like he spins around and he's in his club. But old movie Superman took a full minute to get changed. It's amazing. You don't even see it happen. They could have made it fast, but they just went, no. Well, he's got to actually take his clothes off and put the others on. So we better give a full minute of him in the photo booth. And also, the photos are taking, so afterwards you get to see the progression of him posing. They're so posed. Yeah. It's like he's posing with his glasses on, then posing with them slightly off, and then his hair's changed. That's so long. Those photo things took ages, right?
Yeah, they did take ages. And isn't he Clark Kent in the first 3 and Superman in the last one? So it's like, how long did it take him to take his glasses off?
Well, I think he's fully Superman in the last one because, of course, then what he does is he rips the last photo where he's fully Superman off and gives it to the kid, right? The kid who paid for them, the kid who presumably paid for pictures of himself and now has got one photo of Superman. Superman just stolen photos from a child.
Didn't even sign it. Didn't even sign his name.
Yeah, and this this reminds me, because we've talked about Save the Cat, right? Mm-hmm. Save the Cat at the beginning of a movie, show your main character as a hero. It literally happens in Superman 1. He literally saves a cat from a tree, so we know he's a good guy. This is not Save the Cat. This is steal from a child.
Yeah.
What is this telling us about Superman? That he's a villain. Spoiler, he is.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Superman is, but Clark isn't, because Clark doesn't save the cat, but he does put out a penguin. So this is Blake Snyder's put out a penguin, and then Superman, the villain, he steals from a child. And then probably Amelie Poulard, or whatever her name is, from the movie Amelie, comes up, and she's looking for those photographs, isn't she? Because that's the plot of that movie. And she's like, why does Clark Kent always tear up his photographs? Because he's Superman.
Yeah. And then she puts a gnome in his garden.
Yeah.
I watched a deleted scene.
Of Amelie or Superman 3?
No, for Superman 3. From this sequence.
Oh, yeah.
Where it actually takes what happens with the robber a little bit further.
Ooh.
Because the robber, he's running away with the money, but then someone who's carrying a ladder or something accidentally hooks the bag of money on the ladder, and then it gets caught on a crane.
Yeah.
And it's and the robber's trying to chase it, but it's too high and stuff.
Brilliant.
And then the police are chasing him, so he's chased away. And then we're following the money because it's a ridiculous slapstick cartoon
Capitalism.
thing, right?
Brilliant.
And the money gets kind of taken over a playground where a kid and his mum are on a seesaw, and the mum's helping the kid on the seesaw, and then the money gets dropped on the other side of the seesaw.
Yes!
And catapults the kid into a tree. Right?
Brilliant.
It's so stupid. And no one's like, oh shit, that kid's dead. They're all like, oh no, my kid's up a tree. And guess who comes to save the kid from the tree?
Batman?
Close, but no cigar. It's Superman. He actually does something in this scene they cut out.
No, that's a shame, because I was hoping we were going to get the Mary Jane choice, where the mum has to decide between the money or her own kid. That sounds good.
No, unfortunately, Superman's right there.
Yeah.
Because they're doing the same thing as the first movie where he saves a cat, but now it's a
Fair
kid.
enough, but they cut that out because Superman is a villain. Spoilers.
He is a villain, and he's also not in this movie very much. So they were like, we don't want to get people's hopes up by having Superman in the opening sequence. They might think he's in the movie if we do that. And he really isn't much.
No.
All right, so then Superman flies over to the man still drowning in his car, and he flies more slowly than a person walking. It's so slow when he flies. So, and by this point, the guy's been in the car for a full 5 minutes. At least.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Drowning. And we saw him really early
Which, when you're underwater, right, and people are trapped in vehicles and can't get the doors open, that's because there's pressure from water on the other side.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in the middle of the sea.
The opposite does, because there's water inside
Yeah.
the car. The pressure's helping you open the door. It's the opposite force.
Nobody's told Pip and Jane Baker that. They've seen a car underwater with the doors closed and went like, well, if a car's got water in it, you can't open the doors.
Yeah, that
must
must
be
what's
the
going
rule.
on there. That's why he's drowning. Yeah, so Superman rips the sunroof off and pulls the man out.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that guy's in the Guinness Book of World Records for holding his breath for a full 10 minutes. Because otherwise, anyone else would have been dead while Superman put his tights on. But he's fine. He's all right. He just has a bit of a cough and then he's fine.
Superman saves the day. It turns out that man is a murderer.
So next up, there's a businessman, some painters, and a mime artist who decide to do a comedy bit.
Oh, yeah, there are.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we haven't had enough slapstick yet, we've got to have a bit more.
Yeah, no, this is a brilliant bit.
Then Superman pies someone in the face. Superman literally puts a custard pie. Someone's walking around with a custard pie, and Superman puts it in their face. Yeah. And then Laurel and Hardy turn up and bump into the Three Stooges who are on their way to take a piano up some stairs with Buster Keaton, probably.
But throughout that scene, one of the best things about that sequence is that there's a cafe of people, right, and they're just loving it. They're just there clapping everything. Like going, yeah, well done for pieing that man. That's brilliant. This is all
because it's clearly a performance. Yeah. It's clearly a flash mob doing this because it's not reality, is it?
Oh my God. Could you imagine what a brilliant flash mob that would be to encounter? I mean, I've never wanted to encounter a flash mob before, but I'd love it if I was just walking through Metropolis and this happened.
Yeah, actually, a slapstick flash mob might actually work, right? Because what it is usually is a bunch of show-offs singing, right? And while you're trying to get the bus, and suddenly you're being annoyed by a bunch of theatre kids. But if all happens is that you see some amazing physical comedy that doesn't last too long and isn't right in your face either,
like a pie, like a pie's in your face. Why is there a pie in someone's face? What is that? It's like
because they reach a pinnacle of slapstick. That's why
they have, because it is all these things are. Yeah, you're right. Everything's slapstick, and they've gone well, we need to. What else is there? Tiny car
carrying a plank. Carrying a plank.
Yeah.
They've kind of done that.
So in your deleted scene, the tiny car I suppose gets filled with water, so that's kind of what it is. But I bet they were going how do we get a pie in someone's face? Let's just do it. Just
someone's carrying it. Carrying it, and Clark Kent knocks it into their face. That'd be amazing.
But there's such a kind of because there's a mime artist there, and mime artists it's just a kind of common thing that happened in the movies, like as though maybe they used to exist. Because I played one in Welcome to Ibiza, and David Winters was of that era, so he always. And there was one in that Dancing It's On, and again there was a mime artist, and it's just people believed of a certain era believed that there's always a mime artist in the background falling over and doing things and pies.
I wonder if it was just one of those movie things where someone put it in a movie and then people were like they've seen it in a movie, so they think it's reality and don't realise that actually there's no such thing as mime artists. It never has been. All right, well, that's the end of the opening, the exciting high-action opening sequence. And now we cut to the Daily Planet.
Ooh.
So this is one of Lois's brief appearances in this movie.
Yeah.
She's going to Bermuda and has her bikini in her pocket.
What?
She's brought her bikini to work to show everyone. She's got it in her pocket. She's like, here's my bikini, bye.
She doesn't wear it, does she?
No, she gets it out of her pocket to show them, and it's really small, and Clark's like, ooh. And then she leaves. And then she leaves and doesn't come back until the end, where she has another brief cameo. Anyway, so she's going to Bermuda and has a bikini in her pocket, right? Clark is going to Smallville to do a story on his high school reunion.
Yeah, why?
Because that's something that big city journalists do all the time. So Lois is going to Bermuda, Clark's going to Smallville, Perry White has to pick a raffle ticket to see who wins a trip to South America. And the weird thing about the raffle is that it's called a bingo.
Yeah, it's bingo, right?
It's called Jingo Bingo.
Called
Jingo Bingo, but then he pulls a raffle ticket. So they just because the people who wrote this movie do not understand how anything at all works. They don't know the difference between raffles and bingo. And Jimmy Olsen is there but pointless.
Okay, fair enough.
but he is there. All right, so after that brief visit to the Daily Planet, we cut to the Archibald School of Data Processing.
Ooh.
That's Archibald Children, I believe. So it turns out Richard Pryor is a computer genius because he knows how to type the word list. Right, seriously. He types the word list, and the teachers are like, fucking hell, dude.
Yeah.
You're the chosen one that all the prophecies spoke of. You're a fucking natural computer whiz kid genius because you typed list and a bunch of words appeared on your screen that you didn't understand.
Yeah.
And Gus is like, damn right I am. Time to go get a job so I can earn the big bucks like those matches promised. That's all that happens. To establish him being a computer genius, he types the word list and the teacher's like, fucking hell, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's all that happens.
But when questioned as to how he does it, he's like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and the teacher's like, yeah, you're the chosen one. You're the computer chosen one. Here's a napkin, draw a supercomputer.
But does he literally, because it's like, the question there is like, does he actually not know? Is he being modest? Like, because if he doesn't know, and especially if what he's just done is type the word list, if he doesn't know how he typed the word list, that's a bit worrying. If you're like, I pressed L-I-S-T.
Turns out Gus can't read, actually. He's just hitting keys and hoping, and he's really lucky.
Because if it is by accident, then he's definitely not going to get the job at a big company, is it?
Well, let's find out if he gets the job, because the next scene is Gus in his data processing job receiving his first paycheck.
Wow.
And also, not just his first paycheck in that job, but in his life.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he's 43 at this point, he is getting, and we know it's his first paycheck in his life because he's shocked that tax exists. That's his main reaction. He's like, what's this deduction thing? And someone's like, oh yeah, that's tax. And he's really, really annoyed. This is the first time he's had a job ever in his life, in his 43 years of life.
Well, at the start, he's like trying to get one, and he's been really bad at every job, hasn't he? So he's probably never lasted long enough.
He's never lasted more than long enough to pay tax.
Yeah.
All right, no, but he learns about the existence of tax,
yes,
and he's not having it. He's not having it.
Fair enough.
Like, no, that's not good enough.
I feel it.
So he decides to use. He decides to use his computer hacking genius that we saw him learn when he typed list into a computer and made a load of words appear.
How did you do it? How did you type the L? Where's that?
Where's that on the keyboard?
Is it
oh, there.
Oh, it's next to the K. Okay.
Okay, yeah, right. Next to the semicolon. Brilliant. All right. So he decides to use his amazing skills to get him some money.
Yeah.
So he hacks into the company computer by typing "override all security." That's what he does. That's what he does.
Wow.
And it works, proving to Gus that the computer speaks English, and all you need to do is tell it what you want it to do, like it's a regular person.
Yeah.
So then he types, channel half cents from all Websco salaries into above expenses account, which is
Right.
not amazing English, but close enough, and the computer speaks English well enough to understand what he actually means.
Okay, Gus.
So it turns out Gus isn't a computer hacking genius. He's just the only one that realised that computers just speak English and you can tell them what to do like a person.
Yes, they are sentient, as proven towards the end.
Yeah.
That's quite
Yes,
clear, isn't it?
that's
So
true. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, and of course this works, and on the next payday, Gus gets an extra check for $85,000, which, according to trivia on IMDb, means that this company has 17 million employees. The thing is, in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
In movies in the 80s, computers could do literally anything, right? They could do absolutely anything, but computers in reality could barely tell you what time it was. Because no one had the faintest idea how computers work, so they just writers and filmmakers just made up whatever they wanted to.
Yes.
And I've got some examples for you, and now we're going to play Name That Movie with Rufus and Howard.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, computers in movies could hack into absolutely anything by simply using a phone. And that's an easy one because a lot of computers did that. So just name any movie where someone hacked into anything using a phone.
War games.
Well, that's good, because the second one is accidentally start a nuclear war from a teenager's bedroom.
War games?
War games, excellent, yeah. For the first one, I was thinking of Ferris Bueller for the first one, because he hacks into his like, school computer, with the same actor, right?
This is the same actor. It's Ferris Bueller in both those movies.
And third one, this is going to be more difficult. See if you can get this one. This is a tricky one. It's very specific. In the 80s, computers in movies could create women from nothing.
Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Worst Writer in the World, all about Superman 3.
Hooray!
Don't worry, we haven't finished. As you may have noticed, we've really only done the beginning. So we'll be back next week with part 2 of 3. In the meantime, if you would like more stuff by us, then go and check out patreon.com/manbycow, where you can get an enormous amount of wonderful content for as little as $2 a month, or even just one-off payment of $2 and just, steal loads of things from us. It's an option you have. I mean, it's not stealing if you pay £2 and that's how much we charge. That is very much the opposite of stealing. That's buying.
Yeah, it's fair. It's a fair trade.
What else are you going to spend $2 on? Like punching yourself?
I don't know. Almost 7 meals. You can buy almost 7 meals.
Oh, according to conservative politicians.
Yes. Or
because a meal costs 30p, right?
Comedy. Yeah, 30p.
Yeah, absolutely. We all know that.
I can't even buy
a
fucking packet of McCoys for 30p. I don't know what they're talking about.
Can't even get a Freddo for 30p anymore. I don't know if that's true. I hear people talking about the price of Freddos a lot, so I was trying to do a gag, right?
It's a good gag.
But I have never bought a Freddo,
and
I don't know how much they cost now or in the past.
Yeah, no, they cost £1 million because of inflation.
Okay.
Seems a bit high, doesn't it, that?
That does say, one chocolate frog
for that number.
Yeah, but not to £10. That's still too much for a chocolate
10p,
frog.
I was thinking. But
unless it's a magic one, like in J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. That magic Freddo that's famously inside J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, she's full of chocolate frogs. That's why she's so annoyed all the time, taking out on people.
Well, it's an evil frog that's kind of like climbed up inside her and is controlling her.
It's operating her.
Making her say mean things. Yeah, I mean, do you think, completely off topic, except we're just talking about J.K. Rowling, but you don't think there's any chance that everything she wrote about in the Harry Potter books was true, and that actually this is like somebody that's just wearing her?
There's a fan theory about that.
That this is Helena Bonham Carter pretending to be J.K. Rowling.
No,
there's a fan theory about that.
No, but there's a character, Rita Skeeter, who's a journalist.
Right.
And the theory goes that Rita Skeeter did something bad, revealed secrets or wrote about or something, and her punishment was to be cursed to live the life of a muggle and not be able to say anything about the truth of the real existence of the wizarding world. Mm-hmm. And so what she did to get around that was write a load of fiction books, or pretending they were fiction books, but actually it's all true. Okay. And J.K. Rowling is Rita Skeeter under a curse.
Right, okay.
Which is a good theory, because J.K. Rowling really obviously hates that character and wrote it to be an awful journalist, and maybe also super transphobic as well, if you look in detail. So it's nice that of all the characters they could have chosen, that secretly J.K. Rowling it's the one that she doesn't like.
Brilliant.
All right, anyway, enough about Harry Potter. Go and watch Superman 3 again.
Yeah.
See you later, everybody. Bye-bye, Milk.
Bye-bye, Milk.
He's a stupid, suck-ass, rubbish writer. Yeah.